I'm Chris Palmer. I'm a professor on the full-time faculty at American University. I produce IMAX films. I work for McGillivray Freeman Films, and we produce big, giant screen films. And I've just written a book called Shooting in the Wild, an insider's account of making movies in the animal kingdom, and I have 3 beautiful daughters. I'm 63, I'm going to die soon, and I want to get this book written and so that it'll survive me, and it'll do some good. And so the book focuses on why these films don't do more for conservation. It tensely looks at the question of why we aren't more concerned with animal welfare when we make films. And finally, it looks at whether audiences are really getting the message or whether they're getting deceived and misled in various ways. And these are very important questions. And when I got into filmmaking in the early 1980s, I was very naive. I assumed those 3 questions were not even worth asking. I assumed these films promoted conservation. I assumed animals wouldn't be mistreated. I assumed audiences would get the truth. And I've come to realize those fundamental assumptions I made when I got into this business are wrong. One reason I wrote the book is because I'm launching a campaign across the country to help educate people so people will ask questions. So when they see a picture of a majestic monarch of the forest, the bear, eating a slain elk, a killed elk, I want people not to say, oh my gosh, what an incredible picture. I want them to say, I wonder if that's a real picture, authentic picture, or whether that's actually a game farm bear which is feeding off M&Ms stuck into the guts of that elk. I want people to be more informed. It's not an easy process, but I think after, for example, after reading my book, people will look with new eyes at these types of films and ask new questions. If people ask new questions, then Animal Planet, National Geographic, Discovery, and the BBC and other networks that commission these films are going to have to raise their standards because they don't want to be criticized. And if they know that the audience is looking at these films in a more informed way, they themselves will not make mistakes. And I think what my book does, and what I try to do, is we're trying to raise the standards so that filmmakers look harder for ways of producing films that are, they need to be brazenly innovative. So we need to really rethink what we're doing. We need to think, how do we make these films so that they are entertaining, full of drama and conflict and excitement, but also responsible, and which don't hurt animals, that don't mislead audiences, that advance the cause of conservation. How do we do that? And the book begins to discuss that question, and I think that's the challenge for all of us now, is to come up with new ways to make these films that aren't over-sensationalistic and which are responsible, but which also are absolutely riveting to watch. I think films are an effective way of encouraging conservation, but we need to rethink what that means. And one thing, for example, is that what it means is that when we make films, we mustn't just think about the film itself. We've got to think about everything else around that film, the campaign around the film, the website, the book, the speeches, the lobbying, the op-ed articles, and so on. In other words, every film now we must look at as a campaign, and the film is just part of that campaign. So I think films can be effective in promoting conservation, but we need just to rethink what that means, and not just make the facile assumption that every film will naturally promote conservation. We have to rethink, is this going to work? Why is it going to work? How do we make it more effectively? What do we do? What audience are we aiming for? Do we want to make this film for a general audience, or do we want to actually make it for the chair of the Senate Finance Committee who's going to make that key decision? So we need to think about audiences more and campaigns more, and what these films are actually achieving. But generally I'm optimistic. I think these films can make a difference. We just need to rethink freshly what that means.